You ever walk into your own home and feel like something's off? Like the air shifted while you were gone? That's exactly what happened the day I came home to find my pregnant wife in tears, saying things no husband ever wants to hear. What could have pushed her to that point? Trust me, I didn't see this one coming. I stepped inside expecting the usual. Lena on the couch with a blanket over her legs, a half-eaten bowl of fruit beside her, probably binge-watching some show about home makeovers or food trucks. Instead, I found her on the kitchen floor, clutching a paper towel like it was a lifeline, sobbing in a way that turned my stomach inside out. It wasn't the kind of soft crying she sometimes did during commercials or when she felt overwhelmed by the baby hormones. This was full-on, chest-heaving, breath-stealing pain. I dropped my keys, rushing over to her. "Lena, hey baby, talk to me. What happened?" She couldn't even look at me at first. Her eyes were red, her cheeks blotchy, and she was trembling. I sat beside her on the cold tile and pulled her into my arms. It was like hugging someone lost at sea, tight, desperate, and a little broken. Eventually, she let me guide her to the couch. I grabbed a glass of water, knelt down in front of her, and waited. When she finally looked at me, it was like I didn't recognize her. There was so much sadness in her face that I felt it hit me like a punch. That's when she asked it. "Do you love me?" I blinked. "What?" She repeated it, then tacked on more questions that hit harder with each word. "Am I a burden to you? Do you wish you had someone stronger? Someone who doesn't depend on you? Would you leave me if a better woman came along?" I sat there stunned, unsure of how to respond at first. Where the hell was this coming from? This wasn't Lena. This wasn't my wife. She's the kind of person who cries during Pixar movies, yes, but she's also the woman who held my hand during the worst year of my life without ever asking for anything back. She's been my anchor. And now here she was, completely unraveling, and I didn't know why. How could someone go from perfectly fine to this level of doubt in just a few hours? Who planted these seeds in her head, and why would anyone want to break her like this? I wrapped my arms around her again, kissed her forehead, and told her everything I should have said more often. That she was perfect for me, that I couldn't imagine life without her, that she didn't have to be anyone else or do anything differently. She was already enough. I told her she didn't need to compete with the type of women who flaunt themselves on social media, who chase attention like it's air. She didn't have to win my love. It was already hers. "Please," I whispered, "tell me who said something to make you feel like this." That's when she broke again, this time not from fear, but from relief. Like she'd been holding it in, and now that I was there, she didn't have to anymore. "It was Chloe," she said through tears, "your brother's wife." And just like that, everything inside me went still. Why would Chloe, her own sister-in-law, say something to rip her down like this? And more importantly, what exactly did she say? Chloe. Of course it was Chloe. Lena didn't even have to explain further. I already knew. Chloe had a history of stepping out of line, always believing her opinion was more valuable than anyone else's peace. She was the kind of person who'd call it honesty when she was really just being cruel. But hearing her name still sent a wave of disbelief through me. I mean, why now? Why kick someone when they're already carrying the weight of creating life inside them? I stayed quiet, trying to let Lena speak at her own pace. She wiped her eyes and pulled the throw blanket over her shoulders like a shield, her voice barely above a whisper. "She dropped by earlier," she began, her eyes still glossy. "I thought she was coming to check in, maybe to bring over some stuff Zach picked up for the baby. But she didn't even sit down. She started with a fake smile, then just out of nowhere said I should be working, that you must be tired of me always being at home." I clenched my jaw, gripping the edge of the commie table to ground myself. "She said what?" "She said I was useless," Lena continued, "that I'm not contributing, that I'm just taking from you. And when I told her I'm comfortable with our setup, that I want to be home right now, especially while I'm pregnant, she rolled her eyes. She said that makes me weak, that no real woman would be okay just staying home." I couldn't believe it. Scratch that. I could believe it. This was exactly Chloe's brand of toxic feminism, twisting empowerment into a weapon to shame any woman who didn't live by her standards. But it got worse. She said I wasn't a wife, that I was just A burden to you, Lena added, her voice cracking again. She asked if the baby was even yours. That was it. That last sentence was the match tossed onto the gasoline, already soaking the floor of my patience. I felt rage bubble up so fast I couldn't even process it. Who gave Chloe the right to walk into my home and speak to my wife like that? Who thinks it's okay to spit venom at a pregnant woman and then leave without thinking twice about the damage done? I grabbed my phone, my hands trembling, not with fear, but with restraint. My fingers hovered over the screen before I hit dial. Ethan, wait, Lena said gently, her hand reaching for mine. Please don't make this worse. But it was already worse. It had been made worse the second Chloe decided she had the authority to belittle my wife and insult our child. I gave Lena a kiss on her forehead and said, "You didn't deserve a single word of that, and I won't let it slide." Because what kind of man sits back and watches the woman he loves get torn apart by family? Where do you draw the line between keeping peace and protecting your partner? I stepped outside before making the call. The air was cool, and I needed it to keep my voice level, at least at first. Chloe answered with a bored, "Hey, Ethan, what's up?" And just like that, I snapped. "Don't what's up me," I said flatly, stepping further away from the house so Lena wouldn't hear. "We need to talk. Now." There was a pause. "Okay, what's going on?" "What the hell gave you the right to say those things to Lena?" I asked, keeping my voice low but firm. "Who do you think you are, walking into our home and tearing her down like that?" Another pause. Then came the scoff. "Oh, that? I was just being honest with her. Someone needed to say it." "You call that honesty?" I shot back, trying to hold back the fury in my throat. "Telling a pregnant woman she's useless? Questioning if the baby's even mine? That's not honesty, Chloe. That's cruelty." She got defensive, she said, as if that excused everything. "I was only trying to help. I told her it'd be better if she worked instead of sitting around relying on you." She shut me down like I was out of line. "You were out of line," I snapped. "Lena doesn't need your judgment. She needs support. But instead of being there for her, you treated her like she was some deadbeat. You think just because she doesn't live life like you, she's weak or less of a woman." Chloe huffed. "Look, I didn't mean to upset her. I was just trying to say that if she ever ends up alone, she should have something of her own to fall back on. That's not an attack, it's reality. And that's the problem, Chloe." "Chloe," I said, my voice finally rising, "she's not alone. She has me. She has everything she needs. And we are happy with the life we've built. Just because you're insecure in your own marriage doesn't mean you get to project your garbage onto my wife." There was a sudden silence, and then the defensiveness turned venomous. "Wow," she said coldly. "So now I'm the bad guy for telling the truth? Maybe you're just too blind to see she's manipulating you." I laughed bitterly. "You want to talk about manipulation? Let's talk about how you pretend to care when all you really want is control. You walked into our house to plant seeds of doubt in a pregnant woman's mind. And for what? To feel better about yourself?" I let the pause hang before delivering the part that had been boiling inside me since Lena's voice cracked in the living room. "You're not just toxic, Chloe, you're disgusting. And you know what? At least my wife doesn't have a history of letting half the city through her bedroom door before marriage." The silence on the other end was instant. I didn't care. The words were sharp and deliberate, and I meant every damn one. "You don't ever talk to Lena again," I said quietly now, the anger still in my chest but my voice calm. "You don't text her. You don't drop by. You don't even look her way at family events. You're out of our lives, permanently." "You're making a mistake," she muttered. "No," I said. "I'm correcting one." And then I hung up. As I walked back inside, I wondered, when is enough finally enough when it comes to family? How long do you put up with disrespect just because it shares your bloodline? Because to me, blood doesn't excuse betrayal. And what Chloe did? That wasn't family. That was poison. I stood in the doorway for a moment, letting the weight of that phone call settle on my shoulders. The anger was still there, smoldering under my skin, but beneath it was something else. A hollow kind of ache. The kind that comes from realizing that standing up for your loved ones sometimes means burning bridges you once walked across with trust. Lena looked up from the couch, her eyes searching my face. "You talked to her?" she asked softly. I nodded and walked over to her. Yeah, it's done. She's out of our lives. She opened her mouth, maybe to protest, maybe to tell me I didn't have to go that far, but then she paused. Her hand reached for mine, and when I sat beside her, she leaned her head on my shoulder and let out a breath I didn't realize she'd been holding. Thank you, she whispered. And in that moment, it was worth it. Every heated word, every slammed door, worth it, because Lena felt safe again. But peace is never permanent when it comes to family drama. The next morning, I was barely halfway through my first cup of coffee when my phone lit up. It was Zach, my brother. I let it ring once, twice, then picked up. What? Ethan, he said, his tone already thick with irritation. What the hell did you say to Chloe? I set the mug down slowly. You mean besides defending my wife? She came home crying, he snapped. You had no right to talk to her like that. No right, I repeated, my voice rising. She tore Lena down while she's 5 months pregnant, Zach. She called her useless. She questioned the paternity of our baby. You think I'm just supposed to sit there and take that? There was a beat of silence, then he said, You didn't have to go so low, you know what I'm talking about. Ah, so that's what this was really about. Not Chloe's cruelty, not her toxic words, just my response. I went low because she went lower, I said, pacing now. She made my wife question everything about herself. She cried on our kitchen floor, man. I've never seen her like that. What would you have done? She didn't mean it like that, Zach muttered, but his voice lacked conviction. She meant every damn word, I replied. And if you can't see that, then maybe you're part of the problem. He exhaled loudly, frustrated. You're really going to cut off family over this? And there it was, the question people love to ask when things get messy. Why let words break apart a family? But here's the real question. What kind of family lets someone cause this kind of pain and then expects silence in return? Let me ask you something, Zach, I said, calmer now. If someone said those things to Chloe, if someone made her cry and told her she wasn't good enough for you, that she was worthless, you'd lose your mind, wouldn't you? He didn't answer. I thought so, I said. So don't come to me about loyalty to family. Loyalty means nothing when respect isn't part of the package. I hung up before he could say anything else. My hands were shaking, but not from rage this time, from sadness, because standing up for Lena felt right, but losing Zach in the process, that still hurt. Not long after my phone buzzed again. This time it was Mom, and I already knew round 3 was coming. The screen flashed. Mom. I let it ring a few times, debating if I even had the energy to answer, but ignoring her would only delay the inevitable. So I picked up. Hi, Mom. Her voice came through heavy with disappointment. Ethan, what is going on? I just spoke with Zach. He told me what you said to Chloe. I took a slow breath. Then he probably left out what Chloe said to Lena. I know she said some things that upset your wife, Mom replied carefully, but you didn't need to go nuclear. I stared out the window, watching the branches sway in the breeze. The irony of her words stung. Nuclear, Mom, you weren't there. Lena was shaking, crying. She asked me if I still loved her, if I'd leave her because of something Chloe said. You think I'm just supposed to smile and take that? She's family, Ethan. And so is Lena, I said, sharper than I intended. Or at least she should be. There was a pause, long enough for the silence to make a point. I'm not saying Chloe was right, Mom finally said. But you called her names, you insulted her past. You really want to tear apart what little family we have left over this? That question hit like a slap. And yeah, I got it. We don't have a big family, just me, Zach, and Mom. Dad's been gone for years. Holidays were quiet already. And this definitely wouldn't make things easier. But I wasn't going to apologize for protecting my wife. Not now, not ever. Mom, I said, quieter now, I don't want to break this family apart. But Chloe crossed a line. She didn't just offend Lena, she attacked her. She humiliated her in our home. She made her feel unsafe and unloved. And if I let that go, what kind of husband would I be? I just want peace, Mom whispered. I want things to go back to the way they were. I shook my head, though she couldn't see it. Then tell Chloe to apologize. Not to me, to Lena, genuinely. And if Lena forgives her, I'll consider moving forward. But this doesn't go away just because we're related. Mom didn't respond right away. And maybe that was the first moment she truly understood where I was coming from. Not out of anger, but love. Fierce, protective love for the woman carrying my child. After we hung up, I walked back into the living room. Lena was folding baby clothes, her eyes a little brighter than the day before. She looked up and gave me a small smile, the kind that said she was trying, even if her heart was still healing. I sat beside her and wrapped my arm around her shoulders. "You okay?" I asked. She nodded, "Getting there." And that was enough. Sometimes family isn't about who shares your blood. It's about who shows up, stands up, and lifts you when the world tries to pull you down. So who do you choose when lines are drawn? The ones who break you with words or the ones who hold you with love? For me, the answer was clear, and I'd choose her every single time. What would you do if someone made the person you love most feel worthless? If your pregnant wife, already carrying so much, was torn down by someone who should have supported her, would you stay silent or speak up? I did what I thought was right, but now I wonder, was it too far? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you felt even a little of what we felt, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know I'm not alone, that you're standing with us. Your support means more than you know.